So for the fundamentals part of it, we're gonna look at pre-swing and in-swing fundamentals. So what I like to do for pre-swing, you got the grip, the aim, and the setup. So first part I like to do is the aim, and you have an aiming point. I like to step behind the ball, find an aiming point down the line, and then I'll step up, kind of place my club here, take a grip, take a couple athletic moves, and now you get into the in-swing fundamentals. So you have your balance, your arc length, and your arc type. You have timing, releasing, and then you have ball positioning. So some people prefer to play the ball, like I like to play the ball, the farthest back I'll ever play a ball is in the center, and then I'll play everything forward from there depending on the club. So for like my sand wedge, that's the farthest back I'll have. I'll play it in the center, but every club from there I'll move it up maybe a half a ball since I have less to work with. Some people like to start with their driver and play it off the inside of their back or front heel, and then they move it back a ball for every club. So they'll have, actually their sand wedge will be more toward their back foot. And then once you get there, you get your balance, which is kind of the most important part of the golf swing. So what you like to do is you like to have the balance on the balls of your feet, because if you get back, you kind of sway a little bit. If you get too far forward, you get on your toes and you kind of walk out of the shot. So balance is really important, kind of like with the grip. It's kind of, the grip is the start to the pre-swing, and your balance is more toward your in-swing for fundamentally. So if you guys each want to step up and see where you like to place the ball, Jack, you can go ahead and go first.
Pretty much right on, maybe just a touch back.
So he likes to play it a little bit farther back.
Yep, just a touch.
Now you can go ahead and hit one if you want. Good. Lee, you go ahead. Really good. To go ahead and get the actual demonstrations and everything going, we're going to start the lesson off with a couple demonstrations just to show you what I like to do. For me, most of my putting is in the pre-shot routine. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate what goes through my mind and how I line up with a typical putt. So say we're using this hole right here. We'll say I'm right here. I like to use the line on the ball as an aiming device.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and line that up wherever I feel is right, and I'll step behind it, kind of look at the hole, look at the line. And what I like to do is whichever side, so if you have an uphill putt or a downhill putt, depending. If you have an uphill putt, I like to look behind the ball, and if you have a downhill putt, I like to look behind the hole. That way you're looking at the low point, you get to see all of the angles. As well as if it's bending left to right or right to left, I'll look on the low point of that as well to try and get a gauge of how much it's going to break and how much uphill and downhill it is. So for this putt right here, I'll actually stand behind it. Because it's a little uphill, I'll stand behind the ball, kind of look at it. It's a pretty straight putt. And when I line up to the ball, I like to find a spot about a foot in front of the ball for an aiming point. That way you can start it on line and you can actually see it as you're looking at the ball. And then, now when you're putting and you're aiming, do you have a thought of where the ball is going to go in the hole? Because when I read, I like to read Dave Stockton, one of the greatest short game teachers of all time, and he likes to say that you should look at the hole like a clock. So you want to kind of have the ball enter the hole between 3 and 9 o'clock, depending on which way it's going to break. If it breaks a lot, you're going to be on the 3 or the 9 side. If it breaks a little less, it'll be 8 and 4, and then 5 and 6.
Okay.
So that's just one thing to think about. And that's what I like to use, because as amateurs, it's a lot harder to pinpoint an exact point of where you want to hit it. So if you aim there, you'll have more confidence of where you're going to hit it, and you'll have a better aiming point to start and to finish.
Okay.
So just go ahead and step over it, find a point right there. This one I'm going to aim at about 7 o'clock. Is where I want the ball to enter the hole. Just like that.
Yep.
So any questions on that theory right there?
So on straight putts though,
Straight putts, you're gonna want to aim it. You're gonna want the ball to enter it like
that
6
way
o'clock.
for us we've got a little bit of a miss
Exactly.
range.
Exactly.
Okay.
you sit on downhill putts, you look behind the
Yeah,
hole.
because you want to be on the low point of the ball, of like where the hole is, because if it's downhill, you're going to see more of the break from behind the hole, because you're going to be looking up at the break.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right, any other? All right, so kind of get things started, we'll go over some basic fundamentals for chipping and pitching. With this shot as close to the green as it is, that flag to the right there, that's
Okay.
kind of standing alone, I'll kind of go toward that. So for this kind of shot with a lot of green to work with, I'm actually going to want to run it a little bit more. So I'll actually use a 52-degree wedge instead of a 60, just so
Okay.
it gets more roll and less spin, so I can control it more like a putt. Pretty standard stuff in relation to the fundamentals before the swing. You got your grip, which is pretty standard compared to the full shot grip. Your setup. What I like to do is I actually like to stand with the back of the ball kind of lined up with my back heel, the front of my right heel for right-handed players. That way it just kind of gets the club more forward pressed, and you can get a little bit more control over it and keep it a little lower. And then when you get to the in swing, it's just a lot shorter stroke. For these shorter, or for these longer, more green to work with shots, I like to leave it low, so I'll actually kind of make the same motion as a putt and try to hit it a little lower on the face to keep.
So
keep
you're
it low.
keeping all of your wrist out of it. I mean, you're just
Yes.
locking everything
Just
up.
kind of lock everything up and just kind of use it as a putt. Like last time I said the Y motion with the putting stance,
Right.
where you use your shoulders and just
Yes.
kind of rotate it. It's the exact same thing there. And then you just kind of find your aim point, find where you want to land it is the big key for these shots.
Okay.
Because if you are looking at the hole and you're playing a run out shot, it's going to run well by the hole. So for this, you just kind of find your aim point, which for me it's about 8 to 10 feet on the green, and just give it a little pop like that.
Okay.
And you see it run out just like that.